Hello everyone, and welcome to the fourth and final webinar for Digital Marketing Analytics, a short course presented by IT Masters on behalf of Charles Sturt University. My name is Guy Coward and I'll be your MC, and your mentor of course is Elisha Booth. Before we begin, the usual housekeeping. We encourage questions and the use of chat during our webinars. We ask that you direct all questions relevant to the course content to the Q&A section, and if you have any administration type questions, send them to the support team in chat. Leif and Rebecca are here as usual. We'll have Q&A sessions periodically, or if a question is particularly relevant to the slide that we're on, I'll interrupt Elisha. Any questions about the exam, I ask that you hold them till the end. We'll cover that really thoroughly at the end of the session. We'll show you sort of what the next steps are, whether it's just for this short course or for the paid study. No guest lecturers this time. It's all Elisha to take us through to the finish of the course, which is exciting. Hello, Elisha. Thanks as ever for joining us.
Hello. Hi, everyone.
What have we got today?
We're jam-packed today, and we're also going to get you ready for the exam, which is really exciting, multiple choice questions. So I'm going to go through a number of different things today, including a live session. We're active at Elisha Booth and at IT Masters CSU, so do remember to post some comments if you like, either now or after the session or tomorrow. So we're on week 4, that's pretty exciting. We're going to talk today about Google Analytics on-site search, so when you're typing in a search term on a website and how you can optimize that and how you can analyze that. We're also looking at how to develop online personas, so you can have a really good tone of voice, a good message, and really resonate with your online customers. Also developing web and digital plans. I know that there was a few people that were asking, how do I develop a digital marketing plan and an e-commerce plan? I've got some templates that I actually use still to this day that I created a few years ago. So some of those tools will be in the learning section of the website. So we'll post the link to those. I think they're already on there actually from memory, Guy. And then finally, we'll do a data studio report, and that is on the assumption that you've created a dummy account, which we'll go through and recap on what Dylan had said last week. Okay, so the kind of things that I like to ask my website search data is, how frequently do users use the search box? In previous organisations I've worked for, up to 50% of people that hit your homepage, or sorry, land on your homepage, will undertake a search. People are very time poor and want to get to the point. So that's a really important metric to leverage from and monitor. So I do encourage anyone out there, you know, who's wanting to become a digital marketer. The traffic can be, you can get a lot of traffic, but once the traffic hits the website, it's really important to be able to convert that traffic and keep them on the site. So digital marketing and e-commerce need to work hand in hand on that and provide the data insights back to digital marketers, and to be able to improve on the quality of traffic that's coming through as well. So point number 2 is, where do searches begin and end? Are users satisfied with what they actually found? So I've got a couple of examples where customers may not be happy with what they found. Sometimes there's no search result, and that's where I look at the data and I say, oh, that's a really good opportunity to probably map a search term to the actual product that we want them to see. So more on that later. How do different groups of users search on my site? So you can actually categorize the types of users: first-time users, repeat users, etc. And what business outcomes result from my users searching my site? So are they meant to fill in a form? Are they meant to purchase? Are they meant to download an article? So how do you optimize site search, on-site search? So you can add a synonym, and if users are using a slightly different term, so I've used an example. Okay, so what is a synonym in context to on-site search? It's a word or a phrase that means exactly or nearly the same as another word or phrase in the same language. For example, shut is a synonym of close. So it's the same definition for a user undertaking an on-site search. So what a customer may refer to a product may be different for another person. So using variations of each of those is really important. And some have different spelling as well, depending on whether you're searching on a global website or not. And another example in point 3 is searching for tracksuit, whereas a website may have track pants. So the objective of on-site search is to serve the best possible result. Okay, so Fresh Flowers is a company that I worked for a few years ago. Just wanted to show you a PDP, so it's called a product description page, and basically just how to set up a page with best practice with the objective of increasing conversion or increasing clicks. So point number 1 is the product name, also referred to H1. And that's really important because Google does read that, and it's really important to have a descriptive product name as well. The actual product description should include product category names in the description. For example, these are a native bouquet of flowers, so you need to probably write that in the actual description. So if someone's searching for native flowers, or as you can see here, Mother's Day and Christmas, that coupled with native flowers will probably allow this product description page to come up quite high on Google search results. It's always good to have 3 images and preferably some rich content like video, and some added value here as well. So reviews are also really good to increase conversion rate. Setting up site search with Google Analytics. So you open up your Google Analytics, go through to behaviors, site search, and pages report, as you can see here, search terms as I showed earlier. And you'll be able to see how many unique searches, the result page view search, how many as a percentage exited, and that's something that you can dive deeper into. And so on and so forth. So you can see the customer behavior and actually try and optimize that and improve those metrics. Just wanted to quickly touch on site errors, and URL errors, which does affect your rankings on Google, and something that you need to analyze all the time. So there's usually 2 types. So site errors that are across the whole website, and then URL errors like error 404 on a specific web page. So imagine, Valentine's Day is a landing page on your website, and then Valentine's Day is done. But because that page has been indexed, it's still what we call link juice. It's still alive, and people can still click on it. Now, what you would normally do is to redirect that page to, say, the roses category. And if you don't, the customer will get an error 404, and that's not really good news. That means that the page is not found. So it's really important to not just shut down a landing page. It's important to leverage from the link juice that's from SEO when you're considering your e-commerce strategy. So there's all sorts of crawl errors, like server errors, and then sometimes Google's unable to crawl the site. There's some failures in the bots, so it's just really important to track that as well. It's an example. Google Search Console. I'm not too sure if you're familiar about that. You can see the URL errors here on the screenshot. It gives you a list of errors, so maybe some of those pages are no longer available. So what you would do is you would go into the actual disabled page in the back of your website and actually redirect that, just so you're not serving an error. So I'm going to take a breath. I'd like to do a poll. So
alrighty, what do we got?
Here comes Guy.
So do we have a, yes, there it is. So, Do you have this
Yep.
tool, the Google Dummy account?
So this is something that Dylan spoke about last week. And if not, is your intention to set one up in the next month?
Yeah. Well, we've got plenty. We've got yes, no, and no, not yet, but will. And
Good.
50% are saying not yet, but will.
Yep.
And then a fairly even split, actually.
Okay.
Actually use it already and don't.
Okay, good, good. It's a really good playing ground. It's really good just to navigate and just feel like you're not going to make any mistakes. Because I know when I first started 10 years ago, I was fearful of, there wasn't Google dummy accounts, I don't think, back then, or I wasn't aware of it. So yeah, you just sort of tread carefully. But with this one, you can really, I'm going to show you how to do a data studio report, a dashboard using Google Analytics. So it's really good to really give that a crack.
Yeah,
I'm going to
great.
show you how to set that up.
Awesome. 25% yes, 30% no, and 45% not yet, but will. Also, we've got a couple of questions we might as well
get
rid of them. Jill asks, why is it called a slug? And I saw a really good answer to that in the chat.
It'd be good to know what.
So Jerry says a slug is the part of a URL which identifies a particular page on a website in an easy to read form.
Correct.
That's
it's
really
in
nice.
layman's terms. Yeah.
Thanks, Jerry. And Nathan's asked whether dedicated search product vendors provide anything above simple search functionality, like CMS integration, jargon alert. I don't know what that is. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Results weighing and those types of things.
Yes, it's definitely good. I heard part of that question. Sorry.
Okay. Do dedicated search product vendors provide anything above simple search functionality?
Yes, so we use Solar, which is an option that I've used before at Fresh Flowers as well. In terms of on-site search, it's really a matter of using the back end of a website, in my opinion, and remapping to the categories or the products that you want customers to see. So, yeah.
And then final question for now. James has asked, 301 or 301 redirects bad for your SEO? Bad for SEO in your view?
Yes, yes, they are. I think it's really important for 301s and 404s to be wary of those. And if you go to, if I go back to the slide, let me just move this out of the way. The Search Console, it's important if you're working in analytics or digital marketer to just always be checking on that. Because I mean, you do a lot of campaigns and, there's a lot going on. So it's quite easy to sort of leave this at the end of the list, but it is really important because you've paid all that money for people to come to your site. So yeah.
Beauty, thank you.
No problem. Okay. So I wonder, can we do another quick poll with regards to Google Annotations? Has anyone used these before? Is there any digital marketers out there that have used this?
Let's just relaunch the same poll. Do you use this tool?
Yeah.
Okay, yes. Let's do that.
Bit of pressure there, Guy.
Do you have this tool? Do you use Annotations? Ooh, much stronger no cohort in this one.
Well, that's good.
As
in, I can show you.
Afterwards, there would be a not yet, but will would be far higher.
Yeah.
So 70% no at this point. We'll just keep going.
Okay, that's good. I think that's good. As in, it's going to be useful. It's not really a big deal actually, but it actually is something that you have like post-it notes, if you like, on Google Analytics. And yesterday we launched Click Frenzy, and so did a number of other retailers. And basically, you're just noting that there's a surge in traffic and you're actually putting down the reason why. And I'm going to show you in a minute what that looks like. It explains spikes and drops in data. So imagine that you've never done paid search before and then you start doing paid and then you get a surge in traffic. It's really good to actually make a note of that time. So when you look at it a year later, a quarter later, you kind of vaguely remember. It's really good just to go back to that data and see the annotation. I've put a link there too. But essentially, you can go to any report and see this little drop-down arrow. That's what you click, and this is page views in Google Analytics, and you're actually sort of going, like you can see how it's sort of flatlined there. Obviously, there's some sort of problem. Maybe the website went down or something like that. So you can set up a new annotation and enter the date of the event and add a small note about what happened, which is pretty straightforward. See on the right there, create new annotation, and then you just obviously write down some commentary that relates to that. You can make them public or private as well. It's just really important, you know, like if marketing have done a big TV campaign, for example, yeah, like it's just really good to have a bit of a history on it. Okay, so I just want to quickly go over to I just want to go to, I just want to show you annotations. Just bear with me. I was meant to have this page ready. Just give me a second. The internet's being a bit. Yeah.
So it's like all going on in the background, is it? Okay.
Yep. Lots of stuff happening. Okay, so I'm in analytics. I should be in hopefully my, oops. Okay, so this is my quote unquote dummy account.
Oh, we can see the slides. So
hang on, give me one sec. Just let me go to that.
Gotcha.
Got me? Okay, good. That was probably good because I had some sensitive information up on the screen. So yeah,
all part of the plan.
Good error. So, so this is Google Merch Center, and it is a dummy account. I'm going to show you how to do that in a minute. So I just want to show you how you can do an annotation. So imagine you're going to your channels under acquisition. And all you do, I've set up a few earlier on today, I think. So imagine you want to go to this date, the 12th. Create new annotation. Click frenzy event, assuming that the graph's going up. And so that's pretty much all you do. And then you can make it, you know, can show it on the graph. So that's as easy as what it is. So I'm just going to switch back to the Prezzo. Just give me one moment.
Gotcha.
Got me? Okay. Okay, great. So now you know how to do annotations. That's a bit of a false build-up, but it's actually pretty straightforward. So you can go into work tomorrow and say, I'd like to create an annotation. So we're moving on to online personas or personas. So it's really a fictional character that communicates the characteristics of a group of users, so a segment, target market. You can have primary and secondary, even tertiary. And it really helps identify your key target through the data, and the data will inform certain themes about where people live, how old they are, what sex they are, what are they interested in, and that's really important to be able to put that together so that you can see what sort of media that they're into. Do they watch YouTube? Do they watch TV? And it helps digital marketers and marketers make more informed decisions. So yeah, I'm going to show you how to put that together. There's 3 types. Well, there's more than that, but generally, you know, you can have a quick ad hoc persona, so you can get some data from analytics and form an opinion, or from Facebook, for example, or from your CRM program. And so the personas are created through existing knowledge of an audience, maybe transactional data as well, without any in-depth research. So it could be a bit of an assumption, but in the online only space, sometimes that's done, and that's sort of really test and learn approach, I guess. Then there's web design or customer experience personas. So if you're developing a website and you're considering what do females like, what do males like, not trying to be too controversial here, but like, is there a lot of information required? Does it need to be just pictures? What sort of experience do we want to provide that, and what information is informing us about that? And the end goal there is to increase the online user experience and improve results such as time on site, conversion rate, etc. And ideally they incorporate touch point mapping to support the purchase decision making process. So in previous organizations, I've had exit intent digital marketing pop-ups come up when you hover over a mouse and you're about to click away. So those types of designs are based on seeing a high bounce rate, for example, on a certain landing page. Analyzing that data and making decisions is really important. Marketing personas, I think there's a few marketers in the audience, so they're used to summarize a customer segment based on their characteristics and their perception of the brand. It isn't the main focus of the toolkit, but there are some examples in this category. So buyer personas and user design personas, a buyer persona helps you understand your customers and prospective customers. And it makes you, like as I said earlier, it makes it easier to create relevant content, messaging, and even develop new products or product extensions. And it basically serves to meet specific needs, behaviours, and concerns. And its basic objective is to solve problems. A user persona is a representation of the goals and behaviour of a hypothesised group of users. Which can be used for website design and CX, customer experience. There's a couple of links there for you. So where do you find all this data from to create a customer persona? You can look at your database if you have a data warehouse, or if you have a set of email addresses and information sitting in a CRM program. You can layer over that with Facebook Insights, which probably will confirm the segments or the targets that you're putting together, or it may create another target. Google Analytics, I'm a big fan of that. It provides really good, meaningful information. And as I mentioned, a data warehouse is even better because the information can flow between systems. And, obviously there's a lot of reports as well, and CSU certainly provide a lot of surveys and reports. And I'm sure a lot of you use other external resources as well. Just an example of Facebook, you can see in this example, what the percentage is between male and female, and what the age. I don't know if you can see my mouse on the page, but you can see.
Yeah, sure can.
Oh, good. Okay, so you can see the 25 to 54. Potentially you might want to look at what revenue you're getting out of this, the 45 to 54, the 16% of that, and see how much maybe they spend more because I'm assuming their income might be more or not. So it's just important to maybe dive in deeply with for example, how much revenue you might get from these three. And you might decide that the 35 to 54 are your target, or you might just decide the 25 to 44 is your target and then develop personas based on that. Or you can have a persona based on the 25 to 34, the 35 to 44, and the 45 to 54, and have several different targets. Down the bottom is where they're from, and specifically what city and what language. This is really just using, this is Facebook again, and this is in Business Manager. So you can see women is in the blue and men's in the green, and then you can see the age and gender. I think we just went through that. Engagement, so number of people that are interacting on the page. So there's 50% of women are engaging and sharing and liking, etc., and 42% of them of the 20% of men are also pretty high actually. So how do you develop them? Many different ways, but I'm going to show you the way that I've developed them in the past. 7 steps. It can be 5 steps, there can be 3 steps, but essentially you can export the data from email. So someone, for example, best and less, if you sign up and be a customer, you actually say, I'm interested in baby clothes, I'm interested in menswear, etc. And so that's obviously very factual from that at that point in time for a customer. You can look at your website data sets, so people who last visited the website, so we're talking about recency. You can talk about how frequent they are and what value, so the customer lifetime value might fit into that particular data set. How high they convert. So you might have people that convert at 2%. That could be a segment in itself that you focus on, or it could be a revenue-based type of metric that you're looking at improving. Average time on site indicates that they're engaged. Monthly website visits. The other part that I mentioned in point 3 is social media. You can look at Instagram as well. You can look at your POS data, so that's point of sale data, which certainly looked at that in all of the businesses that I've worked at, except for the pure play ones like Deals Direct. And you can import the data into a central hub. Obviously, I've got app insights as well. And you can, basically use this information for media selection, timing of campaigns, targeting, tone of voice, and product mix. So there's more options, but essentially they're the 7 steps that I generally would follow. So when you're developing an online persona, you have a persona name, and it's like a fictional profile, which I've got a couple of examples of. The background, it may include their personal or professional background or both. It can include details about their lifestyle, interests, hobbies, and education, and there can be some assumptions there too. Demographics, obviously relevant information about age range, gender, household income, and whereabouts they live. Are they metro? Are they regional, etc. Key characteristics. So at Saba, they were women and men, 60-40. They were tech savvy, time poor, interested in YouTube, and going to events, interested in, they were foodies as well. So yeah, like it's quite an interesting process to go through. Yeah, and you can also define what your online personas are not. In a previous presentation I did in a webinar with Andrew Mashman, I actually, when I was at Saba, put together what our customers are not, so that we didn't waste our time trying to market to them. Some of the goals, what they're hoping to achieve in order of priority. What do they have trouble with? For example, time poor mums. What specific points are getting in the way of these prospects achieving their goals? And look, there's so many things that you can put into a online persona. I'm going to just jump into showing you a few. So this one here, gender, demographic information. You can see the gender, job role, marketer, location Boston, and then you can actually see, because you can track this customer if you have a key like an email address or some other unique identifier, and see and track when she's last visited the website, last purchase date, and what she actually purchased. In app behavior, she's a high app user, for example, and she added a wish list product, and you can see the email interactions and the social media activity, etc. So that's one example. When I was at Scoopon, we did a Survey Monkey, so surveying our cohort of customers, and we put together the Deal Queen. So that's Julie, and she's 55, divorced, 2 kids, government administrator, and she lives in Ryde. So you can see her goals, her frustrations, her favourite deals, and her online behaviours. So it's really easy to communicate to the Julies in this particular persona. Within Scoop On as well, the Adventurous Millennial, and that's Lucy. She's 26 years old. She's dating. She's a marketing coordinator. There's lots of marketing people in these personas. But you can see, you know, her goals is to try new things. So maybe she might be interested in a new event that she's never, that's quite new in Australia, for example. She might be a group event that she wants to invite her friends to. So yeah, like there's all different, you know, she's got a flooded inbox, so maybe an SMS might be better, or maybe, you know, we could remarket to her or target her on Facebook or whatever social media platform she's on.
Is there a grumpy cynic persona?
with your face on it? Only joking.
I'm not.
I can create that one.
Yeah, I'd love to see it.
Let's do a poll.
yeah. Is Guy a grumpy cynic?
Oh, you don't come across that way, Guy. I think everyone loves you, so
that's all
good. So this here is actually a good start if you haven't done this before, but you know, definitely pull together the data and try and bundle key themes and information together where you've got a lot of people with the same sort of interests or the same location. But HubSpot actually offers quite a self-directed make my own persona, which is pretty cool actually. Gave that a bit of a crack the other day. So that's another little tool that you can use. Yeah, so that's about it with regards to online personas. Let's jump straight into...
We've got one quick question, sorry, from Wayne. Sure. Do we use the terms personas and avatars interchangeably, or is avatar something different?
You can have an avatar that represents a persona as well. So,
right, so there'd be like a Lucy.
So Lucy could have an avatar.
Within the group.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. 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 Good question. Okay, so there's a lot of information in this next section, but don't worry, the presentation is downloadable and the actual spreadsheets I am going to present are usable, and they will be in the learning part of the website, so do check it out. And I'm also happy to answer any questions if you're trying to put together a digital marketing and or e-commerce plan. As mentioned previously, historical data analysis is really important to put together your KPIs. I look at transactional data, and I look at store data, I look at social data, and I look at EDM, as much data as possible when developing KPIs. So Google Analytics, data warehouse, CRM, dashboards that I've used previously, and some predictive analysis as well. I like to set up SMART goals based on that information and create a mission statement and value proposition. It's really important to understand the audience, so online and analog personas. So you might find that there's a cohort that shop online and in store, but then there may be people who shop online only or in store only. So it's really important to know that up front to help with your digital marketing efforts or traditional marketing efforts. Situation analysis is really important to see what the state of play is, see what the competitors are doing, macro and micro factors as well. And then based on all of that information, developing a trading. So I work in retail, so it's all about trading and a content plan, which is in the form of a calendar to achieve goals. Align your team's skills and capabilities to achieve those goals, and measure and track, optimize and report. And that's on a weekly basis. So just in summary, your budget and KPIs should use data, set SMART goals, including things like revenue assumption, maybe even conversion assumption, you know, assess previous marketing campaigns, and that's where annotations is really important when you're looking back on, you know, a whole year ago and you're mapping out the coming year. It's really important to know whether you did a bonds 40% off sale last year and you're trying to replicate that, and if you're not doing that, then what else are you doing to achieve your goals? Assess website mobile performance, align last activity and replace new activity, so marketplaces, etc. And I'm a really big fan of innovating and doing new things and having that competitive advantage. So do your research, study your competitors, and see what sort of cool things they're doing in the digital marketing world and the e-commerce world. So your strategy is how are you going to achieve your objectives, and the tactics is when. And then obviously allocating an approved budget is really important. You've got to set KPIs based on what success looks like. So in order to do that, you've got to look at what was success last year. Was it successful? Is it achievable? Looking at that historical data is really important as a line in the sand that you can improve on, or benchmark as, a flat growth, for example, just depending on your objectives. And things like ROAS, return on ad spend, traffic, conversion, so e-commerce conversion, cart conversion. The seventh one is track, measure, and optimize. So these are just some ideas. Certainly I don't use them all at once, but I'll call out a few. We talked about customer lifetime value. At the beginning of a year, you might want to say, well, a customer is worth $250. I want that to be $500 by the end of the year. So then you work out a process and a strategy that actually increases the average order value, for example, or the frequency a customer comes back to your site. You might want to look at comparative data in Google Analytics, your data warehouse, your mail provider, and actually just have a flat 20% increase in traffic, for example, year on year. What else can I look at? Average transactional value, point number 8, ATV. Number of items per order could also increase your revenue. So, upsell and cross-sell at the point of purchase. Things like personalized website will definitely increase conversion rate, especially if they're a loyal member and you're serving them a loyalty gift voucher online. So they're just some ideas. When you look at point number 12, maybe you're looking at increasing your subscribers, or maybe you're looking at getting more out of your customers in terms of your open rates and your click-through rates. And perhaps your deliverability reports need to improve. So making sure that you've got good good rankings when you're delivering your EDMs. Overall percentage increase on traffic, conversion, and revenue are my key go-tos. I use a cost of sale, which is number 15, COS, of 5 to 10% of revenue as a rule, and that's assuming that you've got a robust team in place. So that 5% is the expenses, the digital marketing spend. I've put this slide in here just to give you, obviously marketing KPIs, email KPIs, SEO KPIs, pay per click, social media, and website. So I thought that was a really good table by the Content Marketing Institute. And definitely there's way more than that, but when you're developing a budget and KPIs, just keep it really, really simple. So this is just some examples of me going, okay, well, how do we go, probably a larger date range, but if I'm looking at August 2019, I'd probably want to look at the previous year and see how we tracked in terms of, each of the marketing channels there. So you can see direct, organic. So you've got a bit of a benchmark in your mind when you're developing your traffic. And here you can see where I'm basically looking at the increases or decreases as such, and just seeing where some of the opportunities are. So looking at traffic acquisition, conversions, transactions by channel, that's a really good way to look at how your data is performing and how to improve on it and what's realistic. I've got this template in the learning part of the website, so feel free to download that. Essentially, you're looking at your source and medium, so how many users came to your site within a certain period, what was the sessions and bounce rate, but it's, you know, this is probably an over information. This is where I go a little bit deeper, where I'm looking for a certain improvement, for example, with regards to, you know, Facebook referral. You know, I'm just looking at partnerships, and I'm just wanting to know that referrals work really well for us. So I'm looking at what did we do last year and what are the benchmarks. You can see Bing right down the bottom of the page here, cost per click. And, you know, in that example, you might go, right, okay, per month we're getting $5,000 in revenue. I want to see like a 30% increase. So I just want to double check how much did we earn last year and how many users did we need and what was the e-commerce conversion rate for that particular channel. So each channel will not be the same, e-commerce conversion rate. It won't be the same number of users. So this is I guess, a next drill down level of actually looking at your digital performance channels. I've got an example here on what I use roughly when you're developing SMART goals, and the information in here is fictional. So yeah, like it's really just to illustrate how to complete it. I haven't completed it all, but number one is, you know, KPIs for F19 was 30,000 per month, and we're going to increase that to 39. So that would be a KPI. And how are you going to achieve that? So if you did the same thing as you did the previous year, it'd probably be less than 30,000. So you need to be able to go to paid search, obviously look here what paid search was last year, and go, yeah, I think it's realistic based on the conversion of paid search will contribute to part of the 9,000 additional traffic per month. And, you know, like what actions will you take? So we're going to analyze the keywords, we're going to analyze the source, which is what we're doing here. So if you read through all of this, it's pretty straightforward. You know, we can look at average order value, for example, $43. We want to go up to 50, and how you achieve this using e-commerce and digital strategy, bundling, upsell and cross-sell, maybe the exit intent as well. Yeah, so new subscribers, etc., and so on and so forth. This is again fictitious, not real numbers, but you can see there'll be some errors here as well. But this is the kind of budget that I would typically put together. My budget in this case is looking at a ROAS, so return on ad spend. I will say when you're looking at ROAS is to look for cost per acquisition, because you might be getting $20 based on every dollar spent, but the actual cost may be $70 when, you know, when the product's only worth $29. So it's really important to have those figures and have that context. Obviously with this spreadsheet, I'm quite confident about using just ROAS, and that would be based on doing historical research, and I've actually stripped out the CPA because I've already done that research. And so you can see this is also a downloadable template with formulas in it. You can see at the top line, revenue, your revenue numbers for the year and how much you're going to spend. And that's where you can get your, how many times the 2.4 million go into 46.5 million, and that's your cost of sale. And then obviously I've just simply copied down the revenue, and then my working sheet is, okay, of that 3 million, how much is going to be attributable to brand revenue? And so when you look at brand revenue, you go, okay, I'm going to do paid brand search, and that's going to give me X% of that 3 million. And the rest will be non-brand revenue. So that could be affiliates. I think I've got remarketing, Bing. You can do brand and non-brand within Bing, but you know, you might do partnerships, you might do generic search, but you can see there I've made a commitment to brand and non-brand, so the 68 and the 27, and Facebook paid advertising. When you've got EDM, I've got all the agency costs here as well, and then I've got EDM, and the EDMs would be based on historical data, and you can decide whether you're going to increase your your performance of your EDM program, and that wouldn't be by doing nothing. It would be by, you know, maybe doing some trigger-based emails and actually forecasting what you think that you'll get back on that. Or you can just say, look, worst case scenario, I'm going to get 2,000. As you can see here, again, not real data. SEO, so when you look at Google Analytics, you can see how much traffic you're getting from SEO. Of that traffic, how much bounces, and then how much converts, and then a revenue number. So the SEO, unless you're doing a big SEO project, like, you know, changing the meta descriptions and the metadata, backlink strategy, you can increase SEO if you're doing that sort of stuff, but if you're not doing anything, you probably just need to base that on what your performance was previously. But either way, you need to benchmark how you've been performing over, I would say, 6 months to preferably over 12-month period. And that's where annotations is really important, because if there's been a site drop or there's been brand new activity, it can actually change the result. Change the average, I guess. So just be wary of that. An example here is a website forecast. So that's, in my mind, traffic and conversion improvement. So for retail, usually that's pretty consistent. So you can look at, you know, what your sales are going to be. What traffic do you need to achieve that based on a conversion rate of X? In this case, if you look at January, you know, we need a couple of factors. We need conversion rate, we need average transaction value. And we also need your traffic number. So again, this is downloadable from the learning part of the website. I've left in the yellow there for you to give that a crack. Yeah, so it'd be good for you to trial that. A strategy would be developed, you know, if you look at conversion rate, if the previous year in January it was 2, you would need to put together some really robust e-commerce engagement strategies, or some development that would improve, I guess, the customer experience. In terms of the traffic number, if, you know, last year it was 900,000, you'd probably say, well, probably need to do some more paid search, or maybe I'll do a PR online, some public relations, or, you know, maybe I'll do some dynamic Facebook advertising, something that I haven't done last year. And again, you'd need to look at what you've done last year in terms of the marketing, and looking in annotations is really important because you can actually see what you've done. Typically, marketers will have a calendar for the previous year anyway, and their forecast would be based on that. Cool. Moving on, how are we going for time? Oh, nearly there. Okay, this won't take me long. So creating a data studio report is a dashboard with all different types of metrics in it, and I'm going to show you how to do that tonight. And I'd really like for you to give it a go if you can. So you must have a Google Analytics account, suggest a dummy account that Dylan mentioned last week. You also need a Google account login as well, so you can easily set that up. You click the Access Demo account when you're setting up your dummy account, and that's what it looks like. So again, if you can refer to Dilhan's video from last week, it's pretty much a 3-step process. So you can you can link up a number of different things, but it actually shows data from an e-commerce website. It's useful for exploring Google Analytics, and just gets you used to navigating through the reports. And I'm going to show you that in a minute. So I'm just going to play a video just to break it up a little bit. Probably only got about sort of 8 minutes left. Just bear with me. Yeah. Are we good with that? All good, Guy?
Yep, can see the video.
Can see, yep. And hearing?
Yeah, I think we can't hear the audio, Elisha.
Okay,
We got the.
just give me a sec. Oh, here we go.
Check.
Hang on. My bad. It was just a bit boring anyway at the beginning.
Which is very easy to get started in Data Studio. Let me walk you through how easy it is. So on the home screen, we have 7 templates. We have templates for Google Analytics, AdWords, Sheets, and YouTube data. So to use a template, all you have to do is come in here, click on the, for instance, this one is the Google Analytics template. So here we have a professionally designed template that our designers created along with some sample Google Analytics data. To use this template, just simply click on Use Template, come in, create a new data source. I've already created a Google Analytics data source. Click Create Report. And what's going on in the background right here is we're going through all of the different charts and graphs, and we're replacing the sample data with your data. So now we have this sample report, and we actually can edit this, so we can take out the sample report. If we had a different logo, we could put a new logo on here, change the data. Let's say we didn't want sessions, but we wanted new users. And just like that, we have a new report with our own data in it that we can now share with our users. And the coolest thing actually is that it's not just limited to these templates that we've created, but any report can now be a template. So one of my colleagues created this data source Rex Google Analytics dashboard. And so if I wanted to use this dashboard with my own data, all I would have to do is click File, make a copy, swap in my data, and create a new report. And now this report that Data Source Rex has created, I am now using with my own data. So any report that's created with an organization now can simply be swapped in with new data.
That's really cool. Dave, you showed us how to use the 7 templates that are available already in Data Studio, as well as how to create your own template by making a copy of any dashboard that you love and want to reuse again. So thank you for joining us today, and thank you guys for listening.
Okay, well, hopefully, very American. Yeah. Okay.
So do you recommend other videos of theirs?
Not really. Not
okay. This was a good one.
Yes, I do. It's just the American accent. No offense to anyone in America. and also my accent is so Aussie. So they
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, don't know.
So we can still see the YouTube video.
Oh, you can still see that? Okay,
yep.
Sorry.
Courtney wonders whether he just had Botox in the chat. That's a very interesting question. Oh. And Cameron reckons Dave looks thrilled
I think I need it.
This is good stuff. Enjoy the chat log when we put that up there later, folks.
Oh my God, that's another topic altogether. Can you see my screen now, everybody?
Surely can.
Excellent. Yeah. All right, so let's just keep moving. Yes, so I've actually just put down some steps here, but I'm going to just show you. So you go to Data Studio. This is to create your Data Studio report, which again is just a dashboard. You've got to link your data source, and that's why you need the dummy account, if that makes sense, because that's where the data is getting pulled from. Get started, nice and easy. So you can see here I've selected Google Analytics, and that's the source of the data. And you've got to allow that and authorize it. And I've got a couple of different businesses, but the demo account is the one that's the dummy account, the Google Merchandise Store, and I'm clicking on Master View. And that's the way it should be set up. Once you give it a crack, if you have any problems, feel free to post a question as well. So this is some of the information that you'll see. There's a lot of data. So those of you who are not comfortable with data, don't freak out. It's pretty intuitive. So here I'm just creating a report so you can see where that's circled. You're about to add the data, so it's adding Google Analytics. Now this is pretty straightforward. You can see on the right, there's all the data sets here that's linking from Google Analytics. And I will show you how to do this as well in a moment. But you can see here, medium and page view. I think that defaults to that, but you can actually change if you go down to data, dimension and metrics, you can actually change that over, but have a play around with it. Here I'm just adding a graph. I just changed this into a graph. So it's pretty exciting, I think, anyway. I've changed the background here. You can use all different design types and layouts. And you can see here I'm adding a chart. I've changed it to a black background. You can add your scorecards in, which is pretty much a default option. I'll show you that in a second. You can blend data as well, so average time on site by medium, and you can actually blend a couple of different points of data. So you can see point number 1 is add a chart. 2 is to actually blend the data from the master view, and then you save it. Just some other examples of what it can look like. So yeah, I'm just going to go straight back into it. Hopefully it'll be a-okay. Just give me 1 second. Sorry, I'm a bit clunky tonight, I'm afraid. Just give me a moment. So, okay. Can you see my screen, the Data Studio loading?
Yeah, it's just coming up now.
Okay.
And
I'm just going to quickly go through those steps and then we'll be done.
Okay. And I've been looking for the American town with an accent that is really thick Scottish. I saw it once.
Really? Is there a town?
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know that. So just quickly, actually, I just need to log in to someone else. Just bear with me. Everyone knows my email now. It's great. Sorry, guys.
No worries.
Okay, here we go. So just a note on that, if you have got a Google account that you signed into, like obviously I had best and less there, you just need to do exactly what I just did, just to log out and add a new account. So I'm just going to show you dummy report that I put together. So you can name that report. I'm just going to change it to lowercase. Edit. Let's change the title, for example. You can share it as well. Oops. Okay, going back. So imagine you're going to do a new report. Okay, so create. We've already done that. This is a data source. We're going to just create a new report. Data source is master view. Add to report. Okay, just give it a second. Good. I'm going to click on that. Okay. So you can see that's a table. Hopefully you can see my mouse. So imagine you wanted that to look something prettier. You could change that. I might do a pie. May not be enough. Let's do a pie. It's not liking my data. Nope. Okay. So page views, you can see over here, you can add sessions. Just get rid of this. You can click on this button here. It's a bit of a lag actually. So you can put all different, you know, different charts, pivot tables, bullets, tree maps. So just have a bit of a play with it, but you can see session, you can place that as well. Just let me show you the styles that you can have. Oh my God, okay. Oh, it's not showing me the styles, which is interesting.
What sort of stuff is normally in there?
Here we go. Oh, I just had to click outside of that box.
Oh,
so
right, okay.
everything that's clicked on is relevant to that box. So if you click out just onto here, it gives you different styles. So you can have a black background or different types. So yeah, that's essentially what you can do, and it brings in the data from Google Analytics. So you know, at the end of the day, if you can collate all that information, you can add actually data from Excel spreadsheets as well. So if you've got some EDM data that you're wanting to include, you can actually upload that as well. You can
cool. Sam was
have
just
multiple
asking that.
pages. Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, whether you can move non-Google product data into the studio. Yeah, cool.
Yep, you can look you can link Facebook as well. So I believe you've got to do a download, and then an upload. So yeah, and then obviously once you're done, you can actually view it. So this one here that I prepared earlier, probably a better looking one. Almost there, people.
Oh, that one's nice.
Still loading. So I'm going to choose a date range. Where are we? Oops. 4th to the, I don't know, maybe I should be able to update. There was a map in there as well, but I don't know what's happened there. It's but anyway, yeah, that's something that you can have a bit of a play around with. You can put a title in as well. But yeah, that's about it really. There's more information in the slides. So I'm just going to share my screen again.
Got the slides.
Got it? Yep.
I see there's a poll live session question mark. What's that about?
I think we asked it earlier, so
I
think we're done. Yeah. So did you want to talk about the exam, Guy?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Yep.
Yeah, people want to hear it.
Okay. So the exam is something definitely not to be worried about. There's plenty of there's 4 presentations of which all the answers are in. There's also there's a glossary of terms. I'm going to add a few more pieces of information. Make sure, if you can, watch the videos, skip past the bits where I'm trying to transition between slides. If you've taken any notes, make sure you read through those and just, practice some of those ROAS and, some of those calculations, which are pretty simple. Things like customer lifetime value will be in there. So make sure, you've got a calculator handy. And, I do encourage you to try and do it over the next couple of weeks. It shouldn't take any longer than an hour. I've actually got 3 of the questions in the next slide. So need a bit of a drum roll because it's actually not a really extremely hard exam. It's just to see, just how you're going and making sure that you're confident with what you've learned in the course. So you can see here, what does ROAS mean? And it's a multiple choice. The whole exam is multiple choice. And just choose the most appropriate answer. Number 2 is, what is a tagging method for tracking EDM campaigns? So some of these should pretty much come to you pretty quickly, which are not performance metrics. So yeah, just read the question properly and you should go really well. And that's all I've got for the session.
Okay, I might pinch the screen and go over a couple of things as well about the exam. let's see if I can actually do it properly.
Can
I sure
can
hope
you
I
take
can.
it from me? Yep.
You should be able to. So you should be able to see
Yep. Can do.
the course page.
Yep.
So as you can see, yeah, as Elisha was saying, yep, we've got a time limit of an hour, and you only get one attempt. We used to say, all right, well, we'll have the exam period of 1 week, and you have to have your attempt then, and then you can try the exam as many times as you like. But now, because all of the short courses are open forever, we just say 1 attempt. So make sure you do the study you need to beforehand. If you have any issues in terms of like tech issues, feel free to email us and we can provide a reset. But yeah, make sure you're ready. So 40 questions, 50% pass mark, 1 hour limit. And you can use any of the resources that's open book. Of course, we can't police that. And of course, you have to complete all of the weekly quizzes to unlock the exam. And then once we grade the exam properly, we'll have to have a look and make sure there's no questions with, crazy answers or things that we've put in wrong. Once we sort all that out, that'll be within a couple of weeks. We'll release the certificates of achievement. We'll remind you sort of every week after tonight to do the exam. We sort of say jump on it while the content's fresh in your brain. So that's pretty important. But yeah, the exam realistically will be open for forever. So I've got a little run sheet here as well. You can still see my internet screen, is that right, Elisha?
Yep.
Beauty. So, so that's the exam. Once you finish the course, I'd really appreciate if you went in and had a look at the course satisfaction survey. It's just a series of short questions to basically help us improve or sort of see how we're tracking. Any long form answers as to suggestions as to how we can improve these courses are always gratefully received, and they have resulted in changes in the past. So feel free to go for it, all anonymized, of course. And then I guess the next question is sort of figure out whether this is the sort of content you're after to take the next step in your career or just to have a bit of fun learning. As we've said, all course, it's part of the Master of Applied Digital Marketing or the grad cert, if that's probably more appropriate. So this short course talks about digital marketing analytics and is closely related to this subject, which will be running in March. But there's a bunch of other ones as well. This is a fairly dense subject. There's a lot of content here, and as you might have seen, it's quite difficult to condense it into 4 weeks. So it's been a remarkable job. Well done, Elisha. But there's all sorts of other subjects. You can look at the core subject that everyone will have to do. It's digital and social media marketing, which is something very closely related to what Andrew Mashman was talking about a little while ago in a short course. And then there's, academic theory sort of subject, either marketing management or customer behavior. I like the sound of them. And then you can learn how to set it up on the social platforms as well. So learn how to do the setting up and then learn how to analyze what you've been doing at the same time. It's a nice little course. If you're keen, if we've piqued your interest, if you want to learn some more, you can apply anytime. We've got intakes November, January, March, throughout the year, really. And if you want to find out whether you're eligible, then you can click on this little link here down there and you can fill this form out. It'll just sort of chuck your name in, chuck your history in, and then either the lovely Neil McCosh or I will have a chat to you and talk about your options. You can see digital marketing stream down there. Yeah, and basically we give you a good idea of, how much credit you'd stand, whether you're eligible into the course. It's more than likely that you will be. If you've done a marketing master's before, there might be scope for getting a lot of credit as well. So that's if you're keen. Otherwise, hope you've enjoyed the short course. Thanks so much for coming along, and thanks so much to Leif and Chantel and Rebecca for making it all possible. If you want to pinch the screen back, Elisha, and sign us out. Thank you so much for the short course. It was a lovely chance to have a full course with you, and thanks for sourcing such amazing guest lecturers as well.
Yes, I was very happy with.
People love Stilhan.
Yes, we'll have to bring him
and Dom.
back.
Yeah, yeah.
He was amazing. Yeah, he is
Well,
amazing.
you got this short
Yeah.
course because you were so good in the Mashman course. Maybe he can do the same.
Yeah, I've already asked him. So,
Good, I should
yeah.
think
So, yeah, he's amazing. So I'm sure everyone agrees. I'm seeing a lot of thanks there from a few people, which is great. There was a question about Clout Score as well, I just noticed. So Clout Score, if you type in Clout Score with a K, you know, KLOUT, it's it measures your own size of your social network, and it actually gives you a mark out of 100. It's pretty hardcore. And it basically measures the content that you're posting and the interaction that you have through your networks. I know that Justin Bieber, I think he has 42, but Obama has 99, which is like the highest score besides 100. But do a little bit of research with that. It's a bit of a fun thing. Really good question. I talked about that a couple of years ago. So it's something that I haven't used for at least a year. But yeah, it's still good to know that it's around. It's a bit of a fun thing, but yeah, check it out. And just on that, thanks very much for listening, and I hope you found the content useful, and importantly some of the theory and more so the application of the theory in real life examples really useful. And that's certainly when I was studying at CSU myself, doing my master's in marketing, I found that really useful, and that's my connection to Andrew Mashman. He used to be my lecturer. So back in 2011 when I was at Saba. So it's a great university. I was pregnant with my son when I first started studying, and you know, back to work after 3 months. So I found doing a distance course, and my master's degree was highly convenient. Often working through feeds and childcare and working full time. So I definitely think those mums and dads out there that are going, oh, I don't know, I think it's really worth doing it. And Charles makes the study really easy and supported. So I highly encourage it. And, you know, like I come back and do webinars because I really enjoy giving back because the university's given me so much. So just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you, and good night, everyone.
Bye, everyone.